Good afternoon, dear colleagues. It's a very pleasure for me to present our work on potential predictors of diabetic nephropathy in patients with type 2 diabetes mellitus. The significance of diabetic nephropathy is well known. Its pathogenesis is complex and multifactorial and has been an object of many scientific researches. Nevertheless, till now, there are no affirmed biomarkers of its presence, so the renal biopsy still stays the only method that confirms the diagnosis. For that reason, we conducted a trial, the aim of which is to reveal a relationship between particular biomarkers and development of diabetic nephropathies in patients with type 2 diabetes mellitus. We enrolled 81 patients, all of them with chronic kidney diseases and histologically proven nephropathies. 48 of them are with diabetes mellitus type 2 and 33 without diabetes mellitus. The patients are divided into three groups. The first group, they are type 2 diabetic mellitus patients with histology of diabetic nephropathy. The second group are diabetics without signs of diabetic nephropathy in the biopsy. And the third group are non-diabetics. Patients are at different stages of chronic kidney diseases, and the prevalent number of patients in all groups are at CKD4. So it may be that indicates the late diagnosis. The patients are investigated for complications of the presence of obesity, arterial hypertension, lipid and metabolic status, and some inflammatory markers like CRP, interleukin 6, fibrinogen, D-dimer, homocysteine, folic acid, carriage of pathological alleles of methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase gene, as well as thyroid function. The three groups are compared to each other, and also diabetics are compared to non-diabetics. Regarding clinical parameters, we found that 50% of patients with diabetic nephropathy have diabetic retinopathy, but no one in the group without diabetic nephropathy has retinopathy, and that is a significant difference. As we expected, obesity is prevalent in all diabetic patients, and also all patients with diabetes have arterial hypertension, and that leads to a significant difference with non-diabetics. Regarding metabolic parameters, we found that patients with diabetic nephropathy have significantly low levels of HDL compared to non-diabetics. Also, inflammatory markers. Patients with diabetic nephropathy have a significantly high levels of interleukin 6 and fibrinogen compared to non-diabetics, but there is no difference between two diabetic groups. Regarding homocysteine, we found that patients with diabetic nephropathy have a significantly high level of homocysteine compared to patients with but without diabetic nephropathy. And there is no significant difference in all other parameters, and also the mutations of methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase gene. Regarding thyroid function and thyroid antibodies, we didn't find any significance to the development of diabetic nephropathy. At the basis of our study, we concluded that there is no single biomarker that could be a predictor of diabetic nephropathy. A combination of biomarkers might be more reliable and were to be searched. Large studies are needed to determine the predictive value of the particular biomarkers for the development of diabetic nephropathy. Thank you for the attention.